Welcome to Sweeping the Country. I'm your host, Derik Walker. My co-host, Mr. Jimmy Carter. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello and welcome to summer. It definitely felt like summer today. I was sitting outside waiting at a car wash. I said, I'm about to melt. It's just June. So definitely summer and getting ready to go on my first summer trip, and we'll see how that's going to go. Mm-hmm. And looking a little bit forward. I'm still kind of war weary from my last trip.
Right.
My last 5,400 mile trip, but I had the oil change today and tires rotated and
ready to go,
filled up, and we're ready to head out to Virginia. So I'm sure it's a 1,000-mile trip, and looking at hotel prices, you can't just nothing you'd really want to ever stay in is really below, the $150 mark is really pretty much the bottom of the well.
Are you a hotel snob? I mean, do you have to be in a nice hotel?
No, I don't want to go where there's bed bugs, and I don't want to go where I'm going to get shot easily. And I'm not going to go to a place where I think that my car is going to get broken into. I got a lot of requirements. None of those are, you never know about anything anymore. But I'm not just purposely going to get my teeth kicked in. Mm-hmm. So, and you never know what people are going to do. And the hotels now, God bless them, people are bringing their dogs everywhere.
Don't get me started.
I don't know if they can really, I love my dog. In fact, she's right here.
Yeah.
But, as far as taking her around everywhere, I went into the Waffle House the other day, and they couldn't have left the dog in the car. I understand that. But they brought it into the restaurant and kind of had it there under their table. And I just don't know about all
I'm just going to step out.
I got a lot of questions about a lot of that.
I don't like it. I'm just going to say it. And I really don't like it in a food place. I don't like it in a grocery store or restaurant.
But I understand what people's options are. They're carrying the dog with them on their trip. I mean, I don't know. I can't come down on either side. But personally, I think about that, and I do try to stay in hotels that have been recently renovated. I look for that. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you, and you know this story, but I don't think we talked about it. The last hotel we stayed in, one of us got a tick. Yeah, and I don't know. How does that happen? I don't know.
It was a dog room.
They think a dog?
They said that was the wing where they put all the people with pets would stay there. So then I thought, well, if you're going to do that, you got to fumigate the rooms after every.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't. They absolutely don't. Yeah. So I don't know either. And I got a dog, and I have taken a dog. I took a dog to Disneyland, Jimmy. I rode on the tram, and then the Disneyland theme park has a kennel at the front of it.
Okay, and then you put it in there.
You put it in there for the day. But there are a lot of dogs. I noticed flying. We had people with dogs flying, and they weren't necessarily companion dogs.
No, I ran into that 10 years ago, before it got to be where there were so many people with, what do you call them? Things that veterans were using legitimately. But all kinds of people had to have these, animals or
dogs
pet
or
monkeys
whatever,
or, donkeys and pigs and everything else with their security pets.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a crazy subject to get off on, but
it is.
I think about that when I'm checking in to hotels. I kind of ask myself, what's been here before, and how clean are these folks? And the more, and you presume that the higher you pay, the cleaner it's going to be, and that may or may not be true.
Yeah.
I think it often is true.
Okay.
Because I don't think if you're paying, anything under $100, I don't think they're scrubbing and cleaning. They're doing it. They're cleaning it, but they're not, they're not to the standards that some other places are. So, I mean, you pay where you can go. But anyway, so it's summer. I'm looking at this one story that just came across here. Mm-hmm. 3 people, including a San Antonio firefighter, have been taken to the hospital after being stung by bees on the north side of San Antonio.
Allergic or what?
Well, I think it could be those terrible bees, with Africanized bees.
Oh, those are the ones.
That are meaner and, they can kill animals and kill people and sting them, and they're bad news. They're mean, but I'm just thinking about things that are out. You were out there wallowing around in the wilderness the other day, And I guess there's nothing out there that can. Was there any wild
I will
things
tell you,
that could get you?
Besides, I think it's ironic that I had no ticks from being out in the wilderness, but I got one at a hotel. But no, what's really interesting is one night we were sleeping out there. A lot of birds. You would have had a ball. A bald eagle came in and took I don't know a ground squirrel or something off from the grass right in front of us, 10 feet in front of us, swooped down and took off with it. That was spectacular. And you saw where we were as far as what the area looked like. So at 3:00 in the morning on, I think it was Saturday night, I woke up, I heard something. And so I opened the window of the trailer and I could see through the vented part where it wasn't tinted. And I looked and it was this dark thing. It looked about 2 feet kind of arched back. And I was like, what in the world is that? So I hit the side of the camper. I just bam, bam, bam. And it was a beaver. And he turned and looked at me with the 3-inch teeth. And then he scurried along with that paddle tail and just took off. And
a beaver. Was there a dam nearby that you saw?
Yeah, we found it. We found it the next morning, and we could see it just clean. It looked like a little pile of sticks. And
at nighttime, all the woolly boogers come out.
They do. They under the trailer.
Whether it's the bobcats or the deer or the whatever they are, they all come out at night and then hide in the daytime. Right, it's cooler at night. Right. They just. Some of them just function at night, but
he was.
And I don't think that the eagles and people like those, some of those birds, the owl hunts at night. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the eagles don't.
It was broad daylight when he took that squirrel.
Oh yeah, that's when because they can see, and I don't see them roaming around at night.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen him hunt like that. He came out of nowhere and he flew through tall grass, a clearing in the tall grass that shielded him from a view, right? He came in at an angle, went through the tall grass, picked it up, and took off.
They saw it. I mean, they say that they can see, just far superior to anything a human could dare see. Maybe three times better as far as zooming in or something.
Wow, crazy.
They've got unbelievable lenses on that. So, I was looking here. I've heard of this, YouGov.net. Mm-hmm. And they do different polls, and I don't think polls are particularly reliable most of the time because
I would agree with that. Yeah.
No one ever answers the phone anymore on a poll.
No,
I don't. And the person who's the most favorable public figure of the people that they ask about was the Pope.
Okay,
and that doesn't surprise me. The Pope's generally, as far as public figures are concerned, he's generally. Although this one's getting his name out there a little bit and taking some positions on things that, might keep him from being the head of the list. But of the other public people, Jon Stewart is up there pretty far.
I kind of like Jon Stewart. I mean, he kind of.
I don't dislike. I'm neutral. I'm not crazy about him because I wasn't a big Colbert. Whatever you call him.
If I compare those late night guys, I kind of like Stewart just because he seems like he's honest. He's not one way or the other.
I definitely think he's honest, but I think he's honest on most of the things that I don't agree with. But but I do think he's honest about it. No,
and he's not afraid to take a side, either side.
But I was looking here at some other names that, just whatever. But AOC's kind of in the middle.
That's interesting.
Kamala Harris in the negative. But I tell you who's really, and I think some of these polls are probably, I think they're kind of correct on Trump. I think he's got at least a 20%, could be as high as 30% of people that it doesn't matter what it is, they're staying with him. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the unbendable MAGA people. So I think it's about in the 20s, maybe 30%.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you've got at least 40% of people that just can't stand him.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's also fair.
It doesn't matter what he could cure cancer, and they'd be against him. So that's probably about 40%.
Yeah.
So you've got 30% in the middle there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been kind of shut down because I think he's not having a lot of good days right now. Yeah, I mean, the Iran war is not popular. I think that it's not popular with him either. I don't think.
I don't either.
I think he was sold by either Netanyahu or people in the administration, because I do think he thought he could get in and out of there in maybe 4 or 5 days and get a lot done, and then be on their way. He had, I think they had to act pretty quickly because all those people were meeting. So I don't think, I believe that Rubio and Vance and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and all those people told him, no, you're not going to be able to get out of this in 4 or 5 days. But he wasn't listening, and he did what he wanted to do. And so now we're, in this position that he's in quicksand. He doesn't know how to get out.
No, and as a result of that war, we're sitting on $5 gas or whatever it is in your state.
And the Iranians, they're losing money. I mean, they were playing on the fact that they're losing, $100 million a day or something, by not being able to put their oil out. But, these are religious zealot people.
Mm-hmm. It's fight to the death,
They're pretty much half crazy. These are the ones that, remember, they wanted to die so they could have 7 virgins.
That's right,
and that kind of stuff. So, trying to guess, I always try to tell people, try to make rational reasons, rationality with people who are irrational.
It's impossible.
It's pretty much a fool's game.
Mm-hmm.
And these Iranians, they've been giving us hell for 47 years. Ever since the Shah left, and they had all those people, during the Carter administration. Mm-hmm. And then, they get out on the day inauguration comes for Reagan because they know he wasn't going to mess around with them.
Right.
And they understand that. So Trump has had all these red lines that have passed, and, it's just been a mess. Mm-hmm. It's been a mess. And yes, our military is out there ready to go, but I do believe to some degree we have probably shot more weapons. We've been shooting and see the whole warfare. That's what people that don't get involved in a lot of this stuff don't understand. I think the one thing that's happened with the Russian-Ukrainian war and then this one is that warfare as we knew it in World War II or Vietnam or even Iraq war, it's changed greatly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Some things are still the same, but you can't shoot a $500,000 bullet at a $1,000 weapon. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've been doing. We've been shooting our smart weapons and bombs and rockets against these several $1,000 drones. And Ukraine has apparently learned how to make these things really good.
Yeah.
And so we've copied what they did. We took the Ukrainian drones back to the United States, reverse engineered, and made a bunch for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think we're making a lot right now in factories so we can have them. And there's even a car now that follows the president. That's part of the when you see that long entourage, the president has ambulance, and one of them's got SWAT people in it. Mm-hmm. Looks like an ambulance, and then another one's electronic warfare thing. That's a jammer. So if there was a drone coming, they can jam whatever's coming at them.
Whatever, yeah.
So the drone thing is just one of the biggest things that's happened, in just years and years in that world.
Yeah.
And so people have got to change and adapt. The Air Force bases and all these everybody's scared, because they don't have the proper anti-drone stuff. And so I think we'll get it, and I'm sure it's coming as fast as somebody can come up with it. But man, that's these things, they've seen drones hovering over strategic bases and things like that.
Yeah, what do you do about that?
Who knows and who knows who they are?
Right.
No one seemed to know. And I think in some cases it was us. I think that we had a part of our government that was trying to do some drills
and see,
and just say, and then not tell anybody, because that way it's real, and see what happened. And
you remember the SR-71, the Blackbird? That was our old recon. They would go out or the U-2, and they would fly that at high altitude and take pictures and things like that. Now with the drones, you could just not even hear or detect them on radar, and by the time you find them,
they've been using these little things that are as big as actually not much bigger than a big bumblebee.
Yeah.
They've had those for a while.
How do you stop that? Yeah, how do you stop?
Usually those aren't weapons. They're used for surveillance.
Yeah.
They've got cameras on them, with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. But the bomb stuff, when I was a kid, we used to have gliders. Mm-hmm. And remember, there were always these I didn't do them because I just didn't have enough sense to do it. But there were people that had model airplanes with those powerful little engines.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And they'd put some kind of special fuel in them. And they go, and I was always really impressed by those folks.
Yeah.
But this is what the drones are doing. You know, they're basically model airplanes with C4 on them.
Right, and that are piloted by somebody.
They've got GPS now too, so they can, take them where you want to go. And one of the things we learned this week, President Trump was interviewing with Laura Trump, who has a weekend show on Fox. Mm-hmm. And in that, they talked about the ballroom. Everybody wants to talk about the ballroom.
Right.
The ballroom. Well, he let it out. Number one, I do believe that it was going to be paid for by corporates until other people decided we need to build under the ballroom. Since we're going to have that opportunity, we need to go under there and extend the fallout shelter, basically, situation room that the White House has now.
Interesting.
They needed a bigger area. They needed a more current situation room with more of the right technology and all that stuff. And I think they needed a bigger medical facility down there. And they needed just some other stuff. And so they're building that, and that's going to cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. The actual ballroom, that part of it's going to cost X amount, and I think that will be paid for by private enterprise. And then the roof. The roof is going to become a drone base.
Oh, interesting. How did we get all this
information? They're going to put the defensive drones up there because they're going to build it where it can handle it.
Interesting.
And it's going to be a flat roof, and they're going to be able to have drones up there that can be defensive.
Wow,
if things start happening. So I don't know that he was supposed to tell that, but if they'd have had it, everybody that didn't need to know or needed to know would have found out about it anyway. So I think it's okay that he did it. But people are still fussing about the ballroom, but the ballroom is going to have more of a function than just people dancing in the ballroom. And that's just how the opposition wants to paint it.
Was it something they were trying to keep?
They've been for the ballroom the whole time, and it's just ridiculous.
Okay, so was it something they were trying to keep secret for, I guess it was.
I think they just used this as an opportunity. I mean, they could have dug under the East Room, out there, which they have done previously, and they're digging in Lafayette Park too, and that may be part of this as well. That's the White House. The front of the White House is not the part where the helicopters land. That's the big backyard of the White House that faces the Washington Monument.
Okay, gotcha.
All that area.
Yeah.
The front of the White House in the yard is not very big. I mean, it's big as maybe a football field or a little bit bigger than that.
And that's it.
At the front.
I always thought that was bigger.
And then there's a big, fence, taller all the time, and all that security. And then there's Pennsylvania Avenue. I think it's Pennsylvania. Yeah. And it's where the front, so they always have the, inaugural parades and all that stuff go by that part of the White House. Across the street from that's Lafayette Park. A lot of homeless people hanging there. And so they're clearing them out, and they're doing something with it. I don't know whether they're redoing that park. So I don't know if that's all part of the underground situation going on at the White House or not. But there's all kinds of stuff, that's out there. And then they've got that UFC.
Yeah, what is that about?
That's coming up, I think the 14th. That's a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's just going to be the UFC fight at the White House. And that they're somehow rolling it into the 250th celebration.
Interesting.
That's not my thing, but, I don't know what I think about that. I'm not into the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, fine.
And I don't know that the White House needs to be a ground for that,
weird.
But why not?
It's kind of weird, but I don't. Weird. Let me ask you this. I don't know. You got your finger on the pulse all the time too. Speaking of the 250-year celebration, I noticed there were a fair amount of artists that were pulling out of some fair.
Well, it was a B and C D. It was a C and D list.
It was not a good list
in the first place.
Yeah, I agree.
It was not any one A list artist at all.
That's true.
And it wasn't even a B list artist. I mean, Martina McBride was about as close, but I wouldn't want to be on a show with Vanilla Fudge or Vanilla whoever it is.
Vanilla Ice. I don't think he's backed out yet. I think he's still in it.
Yeah, he may still be in there. And then Young Thug, and I mean, it was a bunch of crappy artists that weren't working.
Yeah,
and they're all out because you just can't be involved.
Okay,
you can't in the music business. There's only one side, and that's the left side. And there are some right-wing people like Jason Aldean, Kid Rock, John Rich in country music.
Yeah.
And in pop, I can't even tell you who it is.
Yeah, I can't either.
I'm not sure I can even name one, but I'm sure there is. So, I mean, that thing just blew up. So now it's just going to be a MAGA rally, which, I don't know how that's going to work out. The 250th, I kind of thought they would have it better organized.
I feel like
I was around during the bicentennial.
So was I.
In 1976, and all I remember was cool stuff happening.
I would agree, but I also think there was a different sentiment in the country then. I mean, that's changed a bit, but I was around.
We weren't in the 76. We were just out of Vietnam, really.
I was like 9 years old, I think, when that happened.
Yeah, it was. We were just out of Vietnam. I was in between. I had gotten to be a senior in college and left to go work, and then I eventually went back. But yeah, 76 was there.
Yeah, the bicentennial, man.
That was everywhere. But the 250 thing, it's just because, again, I go back to this YouGov thing. 40-something% of the American people just hate Trump. I mean, just hate him. And anything that he's involved with, and that goes along with the America 250. They've got Trump derangement syndrome so bad, they can't separate. And sometimes I don't think Trump separates it, but, from the neutral, this is, saluting the flag and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you see it spill over into sports things.
Yeah, definitely.
Rudely, and some people, I think they get chastised, which I'm glad. When they do something stupid like that. But I don't know. The whole 250 thing to me seems like a bust.
It doesn't have any wheels. I mean, or legs, or whatever you want to call it.
It doesn't seem to have any wheels.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It could be cool.
Sadly, because I think we should be celebrating that the country's 250 years old.
This should be a heck of a 4th of July, right? I mean, we should really be.
Yeah, they're doing a tall ships thing somewhere. I just think it hasn't. And if it's been publicized, I don't know where they're putting in the Weekly Reader or something. I don't know where they're putting it, because I haven't seen it, and I look for it every day.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I've seen a few
Trump
flags.
has just got so many things going on. The war is bad. This 1.8, he's pulled out of that, by the way. This $1.8 million fund.
Oh, I saw that.
They were going to do. That was so unpopular with Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
They finally he's going to drop that. He hardly ever drops anything, but he sounds
I was
like
surprised.
He's walking away from that, because that was a really bad idea. I don't know where these things are coming from.
I don't either, but I also feel like there's a whole group of people, and I'll put myself in that group. I'm a little tired of the prices of things. I'm a little wallet heavy.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now,
me too.
And I can't say, oh, well, it's going to turn around. It's going to turn around. I'm going to hope it is. I'm going to be optimistic. But every time I open my wallet, it's more than it used to be by so much. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, really, in the last I'll give it 2 years. And how long has he been in there? A year and a half?
Yeah.
Since the last year of Biden to now.
Yeah, it was during Biden.
I mean, you go. Yeah. I see it every day. I saw it at lunch today.
Yeah.
I'm tipping more than I used to. I'm tipping 100% more than I used to. That's one thing that's happened. But also the bill, the food and everything is just. I mean, I'm almost every time I go eat lunch, it seems like the total is close to or at $30.
Right, and you by yourself. So then I think about the grocery store, right? So you go, well, I'll buy my food at the grocery store and save money. And yes, you do, but not as much as you used to. It's like you go to the store now. I mean, my wife and I go to the store. We buy a few of these things, 3 of those things, maybe enough food for half the week, and it's $100.
Oh,
and I can't get away from it.
It takes nothing to spend $50.
No, nothing.
I mean, I bought a couple of orange juices, some fruit.
Right.
I don't even know, and very little nothing else, and it was like 50 or 60 bucks.
Yeah. We
it takes nothing. Everything is $7 or
right,
or it's just everything.
No,
and
right.
and then also a lot of people are not eating beef right now because beef is high as a kite.
Yeah,
for different reasons. It's because the herds at the farm are smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, there's less meat going in there in the first place to be fixed. And then that's rolling downhill. And then there's been some drought issues and other things has affected the meat.
Yeah, and I think people as a whole are they're getting fatigued by that too. It's not just
they're very fatigued. It's always about the money. It is.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Is.
It's from groceries to pet food to everything. And sometimes you just get just perturbed. But on the other hand, I know that I've got my family members. A lot of them do it. Mm-hmm. I did it the other night, but I do it rarely. I just did not want to go to the trouble to go out to eat dinner, and I was hungry. Yeah. So I called DoorDash. I did DoorDash.
Did you, Jimmy?
And it's just I don't do. It's just you're paying this and you're paying that, but it was kind of worth the effort. It wasn't that much more, and I didn't have to go out and risk my life going to get something to eat.
I will tell you, it used to be back in the day, all you could get really was pizza. But now you can get anything.
Everything. I got really beef ravioli and something else.
Hey, that's, you do what you do. If it costs the same as going out, who cares?
I don't know. It's just, shouldn't do it, but sometimes you just got to do it. And I'm looking here, June 16th, Netflix, America's Sweetheart, the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders starts
coming back
again.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
They have good ratings.
It is a good show. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter has a stalker. That's this guy was showing up in her driveway and I think tried to get in the house one time and all that stuff. They put up with a lot of crap in California because of their laws and rules. If some monkey would have tried that, some long-haired hippie guy that was doing this, he'd ended up in somebody's trunk and thrown in a field.
Yeah, back in the day, you're right.
I still think the day is here in some parts of the country. But, in L.A., they got they may give him a temporary restraining order. And, people shouldn't have to live. Sabrina Carpenter should not, or anybody else, should not have to live with fear at their home.
I agree.
That some weirdo is going to take the guy coming in and hurting me before somebody can do something about it. That's screwed up. And that's California is such an example of screwed upness. Mm-hmm. I love to go there. I love that state. I love the weather. I just enjoy being there. But God, there's so many crazy people there that don't live in the real world. Yeah. And when they do, it's too late.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They should have learned a long time ago. Remember there was this young girl, was a Hollywood star on a TV show or something, and some idiot came up to her house and killed her.
Yeah.
And they knew that he was possibly going to do,
But they don't do anything until it's too late.
But they didn't do anything until it's too late. It's just...
speaking
they
about,
don't ever learn about stuff. Look at all these, and people that are, the people that have mental problems that are doing stuff. We have got to figure out something to do with the mentally ill. We cannot continue to kick the can down.
Why is it? Do you think that that our government doesn't ever address that? Why don't they address? I know what Reagan did.
They don't address a lot of things.
That's true.
They've never addressed in Medicare, for example, older people. And I think this is pretty much everywhere. Mm-hmm. They don't seem to cover, in medical insurance for that matter, doesn't seem to cover easily dental. It doesn't seem to cover your eyes.
Yeah, it is weird.
Dental,
that is weird.
You can die from a bad tooth thing.
Right.
You can die.
Right.
And not to mention, just the quality of life. But I don't know. Our priorities are, I've always said we're too busy building bike paths and bike lanes and not dealing with people that are, the homeless people out on the street. And yes, if they're drug dealers and drug addicts, then they need to be taken to some place, institutionalized, and either cured or kept there or kept there.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be living on the street, whether it's a veteran or just somebody who's a drug addict. Having the people poop on your front step and do all that like they do in some cities, we're too good. We're better than that as a country, but we just can't seem to figure out that problem. But we want to go to the moon and we want to go to Mars.
Yeah, but why? Why
I shake my head, and people that, and I've also gotten it while I'm on it. I've gotten mad at some of our religious brethren in this country. I appreciate their big hearts of wanting to go to foreign countries and help the impoverished people in those countries.
Sure.
But ever since I was a little kid, I said, man, why don't you go help the people in Appalachia or go help the Indians on a reservation in Arizona? Why do you have to go to wherever to do what you're going to do? And I've never understood the logic.
It's funny that you say that.
Behind that.
I'm with you on donating. Like, I'll get an organization that wants to help. I have no problem helping people in Zimbabwe. That's not an issue. However, I want to help the people that are right here, that the money will go further than having to ship stuff all the way to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe I think we got to get
I've always said, and that's what this administration was selling on.
Built on.
And for some reason, Democrats didn't like the idea, but America first. Why not take care of your neighbors before you take care of somebody 1,000 miles away?
Would you ignore somebody that needed medical attention that came to your front door? Would you ignore them to help somebody else somewhere that you don't even know? Why would you do that? It makes no sense.
I just don't understand, the thinking behind just the basics of how we operate, in society. And, it's, they're having an election today in California. And, this mayor has been absolutely proven to be incompetent and not been able to accomplish
You're talking about Southern California, Los Angeles.
Fire.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is a better person running, but I know she ain't it.
Right. It's almost like the alternative.
Why would you reelect somebody like that has a proven track record of nothing?
I don't know. By the way,
I don't understand why we do things. We blindly elect somebody because they're a Democrat. We blindly elect somebody because they're a Republican. That just seems crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up. I just saw the Barack D. Obama Shaw, one of the 60 candidates running for California's gubernatorial primary this week. I think that's genius. I think this guy's a genius. He's going to hop on the coattails of Barack Obama and run. And he wants to work on homelessness, and he wants to do all the things that we're just talking about. He's running on the Democratic ticket, I believe, but he wants to do all these things and fix California. And I thought, if I have to change my name.
I think one of the things is this country is pretty spoiled. We haven't had to sacrifice in a war in a long time, and where everybody's focused on one thing. We haven't focused on one thing really since 9/11. We were focusing pretty good on COVID, but I don't think we knew exactly how to deal with it. But we were focusing at least on a subject. And I don't know. It's too many issues. Is the thing. It's too many things.
So how do you
like
focus?
The homeless and stalkers and people who are criminals? That 30% of all the criminals who they've put those, what do you call them, electronic monitoring devices on in Chicago.
Yeah, the ankle bracelets and all
36% of everybody they put a monitor on, they can't find.
So one in three of them
memed up. 1 in 3
have disappeared.
They don't know where they are. They took their monitor off and they can't find them. That's just how screwed up that place is. And you just shake your head. And then a lot of people have done what they've done for the last 50, 60 years. They just keep moving further and further out of town.
Yeah, but that's almost like
further and further out of town so they don't have to deal with it.
That's it. Is that a head in the sand mentality?
That's a head in the sand, but just,
But I don't blame people. I really don't.
I don't blame them at all.
I don't either.
But it's just, I don't know what it's going to take to straighten out some of that stuff, But It's we're at interesting times. I mean,
we are.
God bless our military that's out there on boats and planes and doing all that out there, just trying to hold it together. And you got a lot of great people, trying to fight Ebola and trying to fight crime, the cops, and then you got the news media, and they need to check themselves. They're
already wrecking themselves. I mean, they are.
Well, they criticize a cop, this week that it was a bad cop. He beat up somebody. They showed him beating him up. He got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but at the same time, there were 2 officers shot and a canine shot, and one canine killed up in Michigan, Grand Rapids, another one in Virginia. Yeah. I never saw that on national news.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Should be important,
I did not either.
But it's not. But you do, they'll pick up something negative, but when something like that, they don't go there. So it's
I think they're ruining their own reputation.
They are.
They're ruining their own, followers. People just quit. They just get to a point.
And then you see the 60 Minutes brouhaha.
Yeah.
They're all Scott Pelley losing his self.
Yeah.
Telling the new boss that his credentials are thin.
Oof.
Telling the other boss that she's trying to destroy the show. I mean, he's like leading the revolution. And if you're a young person, by some weird chance listening to this, or even an older person that's never thought about it,
let's go.
The First Amendment does not apply to work. You cannot say whatever's on your mind at a place of business, a place where you work. You could say it privately, but you sure can't say it when the news people pick it up.
I remember, Jimmy.
If Scott Pelley keeps his job, it would be a miracle.
I remember when we were in radio and Facebook came to be, and there was MySpace before that, but Facebook came to be. And all of a sudden you had personalities who didn't all have their real names, right? Some of them had different names, fake names, personas, let's say. And they would go on Facebook and they'd rant and rave about religion or politics or whatever it was. And I remember having to put the lid on those people and saying, hey, you can do it with your own name, do whatever you want, but when you put on this, you
represent your boss 24 hours a day.
Yes, you do. And
whether you want it or not, whether you like it or not, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
You are representing that company that you work for, because if you do something stupid and you get arrested, they're going to say where you work.
That was my whole argument, and I'm throwing this back at you. We talked about it earlier today. Is my whole argument when the NFL went woke. You're wearing the company uniform and you're speaking out. That's not the place. And I think that about when you're driving a company vehicle. You're not flipping people off going down the road.
Yep.
There's all these things, right? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's odd that people think, well, I can do whatever I want when I want.
Yeah, this freedom is not free. And First Amendment does not apply in all circumstances.
No, and there's always consequences. You can do whatever you want, but when the consequences roll around, get ready to accept them.
Yep.
And that's just the way that is.
One thing this country needs is more consequences.
I would agree.
And sure consequences. If you need to know where you stand and where the red line is and you don't cross it, it's like an electric fence.
Yeah.
You don't touch the electric fence or you get shocked.
Yeah.
So we need more of that and quit just letting people do what they want to do, whether it's trying to open the door of an airplane in mid-flight or, a cop beating up somebody. You can't get away with any of that stuff, or you shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, enjoyed our conversation as always, and until we do it all again next week right here on Sweeping the Country, I'm Derik Walker. He is...
I'm Jimmy Carter. Good day.